headed for a disaster of biblical proportion. Biblical. What it means is Old Testament. Yeah, Mayor. Real wrath of God type stuff. Fire and brimstone coming down from the skies. Rivers and seas boiling. 40 years of darkness, earthquakes, volcanoes. The sea of crashes with the rain. Human sacrifice, dogs and cats living together. That's hysteria.
Broadcasting live from the WDCE studios out of the University of Richmond, you're listening to 90.1 FM from the most trusted puppet in media. Reporting since Roswell, I'm Sam NewsMan, and this is Saturday morning. I want to thank everyone, of course, for listening to this show. Here we are. We're on the 22nd day of April in the year 2023. It is 9:26 here on the East Coast. Richmond, Virginia, this past week, been having some wonderful weather. It's not too bad outside today. Well, if you're allergic to pollen, well, you're probably a sniffling mess. Shout out to Sugar Skulls, 1.1. So 1.1. Shout out to Cato's Collection, of course. See him over here in the chat. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you, of course. Like I said, it is Saturday morning. Everybody's probably had an incredible week, a busy week, a hectic week. And well, of course, then you ask, well, Sam, well, how was your week? Well, my weeks are always magnificent. There's a lot of naps. Don't you like naps? You know what? You deserve a nap. You know why I say that? Well, because I'm going to just tell you that whenever you take a nap, like a good afternoon nap, you just sit there, you take the nap. But don't feel bad about taking the nap. Because if you need to take the nap, just take the nap. And if you take the nap, I'm telling you what, on the other side of the nap, there's going to be that part of your brain that says, you know what, I shouldn't have taken that nap. Then your body's going to be like, you know what, thank you so much. And you're going to be like, well, for what, body? For taking that nap. It's been one of those type of weeks. Yes, so just let the naps. Yes, I love the nap is what Triple D says. No, not that type of nap. No, we're not talking about that nap. We're talking about the sleeping nap. What nap are you talking about? Anyway, so here we are once again. Like I said, we're sitting there broadcasting live. It is a Saturday morning, of course. You sit there, you think, well, what's going on Saturday morning? Well, there's a whole lot of somethings going on Saturday morning, including the songs that we just went through. Bugs Bunny Comedy Hour intro. That was from 1985. The Star Wars Droids. Yeah, that was kind of trippy. Shout out to White Vegeta in the chat. Once again, we are broadcasting live at Sam NewsMan. At Sam NewsMan on Instagram right here. Sam NewsMan on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter over here. Sometimes a lot of people will say that the Instagram feed gets a little shaky. So yes, Saturday morning cartoons. There's always Saturday morning cartoons. There'll be more Saturday morning cartoons, but you might not hear the Saturday morning cartoons here live on the broadcast. And you say, well, what do you mean? What do you mean I can't hear the cartoon themes? Well, because there's all these licensing agreements and blah, 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 legalese, blah, blah, blah. But what you can do is you can do this. You can download the Live 365 app. I'm going to say it again, the Live 365 app. Go to your app store. Download the Live 365 app. When you download the Live 365 app, search WDCE. Right, search WDCE, and then you can listen to the cartoon themes, the Saturday morning cartoon themes that Sugar Skulls just talked about, though, down there in the chat. I'm pointing to it right now in the chat. No, right there. It's right there. Right. No, I mean, I'm pointing at it. What do you mean? Like I said, you go to at Sam NewsMan on Instagram and you can be a part of the chat. Right. Well, it's always about being a part of the chat. This is an interactive show. Yes, with a real media puppet on a Saturday morning. Well, of course. Well, people want to know what exactly we were playing just a few moments ago. So if you were listening on the Live 365 app, we already had a cartoon block come through. And of course, as always, Deep Cut Dave's Professor Deep Cut Dave's cartoon block. Deep Cut Dave, we were chatting the other day. So we have some website things going on. Shout out to Daredevil in the chat. we have some things going on behind the scenes. And listen, I've not given Dave too much of the intel, but we're about to do some things behind the scenes here at samnewsman.com. Well, it's very skin and bones right now. samnewsman.com, but just be prepared. samnewsman.com. We have some things that are going to happen here in the future. And I'm trying to get Deep Cut Dave, Professor Deep Cut Dave, to get involved with all that. But like I said, that's all secret, hush-hush classified stuff. I'm trying to give you guys a peek behind the curtain. Well, I mean, that's the only thing that I should be able to do. You know, as a real media puppet, you want to know some inside baseball, right? Well, of course you do. So I'm just trying to tell you that Sam Newsman, samnewsman.com, pretty soon, things are going to be popping off. Popping off. Right. Well, no, it's going to be hopping. Is that what they say? It's going to be lit. What do you mean? Lit is old now too? Well, what do the kiddies say now? I don't know. I'm trying to sit there and listen. I'm trying to be cultured as a media puppet, a real media puppet. You say, well, Sam, how can we see you? At Sam Newsman on Instagram, at Sam Newsman on Facebook, at Sam Newsman on YouTube and Twitter, at Sam Newsman all across social media, Rumble. We're on TikTok. Over 7,700 followers on TikTok. It was within the last 48 days. No, hey, listen, that's a good run. That's a good run. I'm not doing as a lot of lives. People say, well, Sam, you should do more lives on TikTok. You know, the last couple of times I've did lives on TikTok, I was then banned for about a week or two because they said that I was spreading false information. What? A real media puppet? A real media puppet that's been reporting since Roswell. And I'm the one that is spreading false information? What are you talking about, TikTok? So this is why people would say, well, Sam, you should do some. No, because every time I sit there and open my damn mouth, all of a sudden people are saying, well, what you're saying is false, Sam. Right, Anime? I see Anime just came in. Listen, and I'm just telling you, as a real media puppet, listen, I am here for the people. I'm here for you. I'm here for you and your imagination, everything that has to go with all of that. And they want to sit there and ban me on TikTok. Say that I'm spreading false and misinformation as a real media puppet. Like that one time before I was on Facebook. Now we're on Facebook now. There was one time when I tried to get on Facebook and they wanted my blood type. No, seriously, they wanted my blood type. They wanted my driver's license. I was like, to hell with you. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. The kiddies are listening. Mary Murr's listening. I think she's going to sit there and say, well, Sam, you're swearing too much. No, listen, this is all biblical. This is all biblical. Shout out to Mary Murr, first one in the chat. That's the secret chat, the producer's chat. Now, we do have a producer's chat channel. Well, eventually we might get there. Like I said, this all goes back to the website and what's going to happen. Yeah, subscription-based, all of that, but we have more on that in the future. Just keep an eye out, www.samnewsman.com. And that's where that's going to be. But listen, I'm telling you about Deep Cut Dave and what he's saying. The Bugs Bunny Comedy Hour, the Star Wars droids. You remember that? We have that Road Adventure, Lupin the Third. It's like another Lupin theme. Then we had Big John Studd. So I'm waiting here to see if Deep Cut Dave is going to call in. I think next week is Backlash. Next week is Backlash. Yes, next week is Backlash. And we'll have a Backlash prediction show, so long as Deep Cut Dave doesn't have to work or do anything. So we're waiting for Dave to see if he's going to call in. So, and like I said, and we will open the lines for next hour. The next hour, at the top of the hour, we will open up the lines for the top of next hour. But we're waiting for Deep Cut Dave to see if he calls in. We'll give him a few more moments to see if he does. Well, I know. Listen, I'm just sitting there telling you, if they're now trying to cut Deep Cut Dave's hard line, listen, we're all in trouble. You know, he was a professor. You know that, right? He was a professor. No, it's true. It's true. That's why when I tell you, Professor Deep Cut Dave, right? Still hasn't called in yet. All right, so we're waiting to see if Deep Cut Dave is going to call in. Listen, he might be busy. He might be busy. No, wait a minute. I feel like that we're getting them in. I think we got the signal. Does the signal come in? I get my Zelda OLED next Friday. That's good. Okay, so listen. I think I got Dave's on the line here. Hold on. So let's just make sure we have him in. Dave, are you there?
I am.
Dave, how are you this Saturday morning? Good morning, sir.
And good morning to you too. I'm okay.
You said, well, I'm okay. I'm okay. Listen, I'm okay because you sent me a whole bunch of different songs for the first block, and wanted to go through these. I just was mentioning them a few moments ago. The first one was the Bugs Bunny Comedy Hour from 1985. Now, this surprised me because I'm very familiar with the tonight we'll dine well on with the show. Yeah, so I'm familiar with that Bugs Bunny theme on a Saturday morning. So when you sent me over this Bugs Bunny Comedy Hour intro from 1985, what's that all about? And how is that different from, I guess, some of the other things that Warner Brothers did prior to that and maybe afterwards?
Well, that was on CBS. That just ran for a season, and then went back to ABC.
So it was, but did they keep the same theme song that you that we heard? That same theme, or did they go back to the classic one that a lot of people remember?
Well, actually, when it went back to ABC, they did change it up a little bit.
But that one was interesting because as I'm listening to it, it gives the whole cast. It talks about the whole cast, each character of the cast, which is something that you don't see a lot of, specifically Warner Brothers. Like I said, we're all familiar with the common jingle, and I'll try to play that maybe later in the show. But this one goes through every single character. It talked about Porky Pig. It talked about Bugs Bunny and everybody. It was detailed than more than a lot of other intros, I guess, specifically for the Warner Brothers and their characters. Am I not mistaken about that?
No, that was a pretty unique thing they did there.
Well, it then leads me to something very unique, and that is Star Wars droids. So I have Star Wars droids. I had the philosopher back here training him, and he was just sitting there jamming to this one. And talk a little bit about Star Wars droids. What the heck's going on with Star Wars droids?
Well, that aired same time as the Ewok show. Except technically it only lasted 13 episodes. Well, 13 episodes and a special.
So it wasn't that long of a season. So it's just one, a 13-week block. Did they play it in order, or did it get kind of jumbled up within broadcasting?
It was serialized, like every 3 or 4 episodes, it'd be a different story arc.
Okay, but there's only 13 though, you said.
Well, 13 regular episodes and an hour-long special.
Gotcha. And what year was that, Star Wars droids? You familiar? What year?
That was 1985 to 1986.
1985, 1986. That leaves me next to Starfleet. What year is that? I don't have a year for Starfleet. What is going on with Starfleet?
Well, Starfleet, or the original Japanese name, X-Bomber, that ran from 1980 to 1981, both in Japan and Great Britain.
And so what is this? So Japan and Great Britain, what is the story about? What's going on with Starfleet, and what's the basic premise behind this in about a minute or so?
Okay, well, in the year 2999, Earth is attacked by the evil commander Makara, and she wants the F-10. Well, the problem is nobody knows what the heck that is. So the Earth assembles 3 of their best pilots, Shiro, John Lee, and Barrett Hercules.
And who are they? What do they do?
Well, they are sent to pilot the X-Bomber. It's a massive ship with the mad scientist and his beautiful daughter. It also converts into a giant robot, as you do.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, it's got to transform into a gigantic robot.
Yeah, and they repel the invaders.
Interesting.
Now, there was a cover. Brian May and Eddie Van Halen
right
worked together to do a cover of the song, and Apparently, it has been officially scourged from the internet for some reason.
You know, I found one copy of it, but I wasn't able to find it in order to patch it into the board the way that I wanted to. But you sent me that about a week or so ago, and but yeah, so I did see that. So there was a whole cover with Eddie Van Halen, and what year was that?
I think that was 1980, 1981.
Right. Well, it was incredible.
Brian May was just taking a break from Queen, and he heard Eddie Van Halen was in England at the time, and they were just jamming. And Brian May's kids loved the show Starfleet, and I thought, hey, this theme song's kind of cool. Let's do a cover of this.
Right. No, I mean, that's a pretty wild one. The last one, let's see here. I have it pulled up. Oh, well, I have two more. Well, a couple more actually. Road Avenger, Mega CD, Road Blaster Intro Arcade with lyrics. Now, I was watching this, and it seemed like there was a lot of Japanese animation. But is this in the similar vein of there was a helicopter game, I think, that they used a bunch of scenes.
Cobra Command, yes.
Cobra Command, yes.
Those are both animated by Toei, I think.
Right, yes. And Cobra Command uses bits from what? Do you know what Cobra Command uses bits from?
I can't remember. I don't know.
It's Lupin, damn it. It's Lupin. Of course you should know this. Come on, it's Lupin. It shows you segments from Lupin. We had Lupin the third. But anyways, what's Road Avenger? Before we get to Lupin, tighten up, Dave. Tighten up, Professor. Tighten up. Okay, so the Road Avenger. What's going on with the Road Avenger? What's that all about?
Well, that was actually done by the same guy that did Double Dragon. I think that may have been his first game. So
This is the same game creator that made Double Dragon? Hold on, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And like when the leaves, like I mentioned, when you hear Double Dragon, it's like when the leaves leave the garage.
Right.
The Road Blaster car.
Okay, I'm tracking.
Yeah, it's one of those laser disc games. Pretty innovative. I mean, for 1985, it's pretty cool. Basically, you're like a vigilante guy. You're attacked on your wedding day by a bunch of thugs. Wife killed. So you do the only sensible thing: build your car into an instrument of death.
Oh well, I mean that'd be the first thing that happens and comes to mind.
Yeah, and then you proceed to spend the rest of the game running them down.
Very, very, very wholesome. Very wholesome. And that was on a Laserdisc game that came out in 1985, Road Avenger. Road Avenger. Okay, so which goes back to we were talking about a few moments ago, Cobra Command, and you didn't pass the test. You didn't pass the test, but it has segments from Lupin, and so you sent me the Lupin the Third Part 2 openings. I think this is the second opening. There's several different openings. So second season opening. How many seasons of Lupin was there again? And what was the reason why you think that they would change the theme song every year?
Why they changed it, I don't know.
Right. So how many seasons were there?
4 seasons.
4 seasons. But they did change the theme every year, right?
And with every season, they got a new intro. Yes.
Gotcha. So, but that was Lupin the Third. That was season number 2 that we played. And then the last thing that I had up here was Big John Studd, the Stud theme. We often talk about wrestling. Next week we will have our Backlash prediction segment. So make sure that all of you guys are listening next week. We will talk about Backlash. We'll have Professor Deep Cut Dave's Backlash predictions. See if he's able to hold it down. You were pretty good for WrestleMania. There's a couple of matches that there were a little bit of a snafu, but you were right about, like I said, the whole faction wouldn't lose their belt. So I do give you credit for that. So touche, sir, touche on that. Big John Studd, 1989. Could you talk a few moments about who Big John Studd is? And I guess what is
he was the other giant in the WWF. Had a long feud with Andre the Giant.
And this is back during what time? Like, what was the era? The late 1980s?
Well, mid 80s. His feud with Andre, I think that started around 84, 85. Carried over to the first WrestleMania.
Yeah, now you mentioned the other giant. So Big John Studd, do you have his height and weight, or do you have just an estimate of what you kind of remember of how tall he was?
I think he was billed. He was about Andre the Giant's height, but he wasn't quite as heavy.
He was not as heavy, so a little bit more trim, but still just a pretty big guy. Pretty big guy.
Yeah, by 1989, they turned him face around 89, but it really didn't quite take.
Right, and so it wasn't too long after that that he, I believe, I guess, retired from wrestling or left wrestling altogether.
Yeah, I think around 91, 1990, he packed it in.
He packed it in around 1990, 1991. No, absolutely. No, it's interesting. Big John Studd, I think that, did he win the Battle Royal WrestleMania 2? WrestleMania 2, I think that there was a Battle Royal. Did he win?
I think Andre won.
Andre won it, but was it him and Andre at the end? Is that what I'm thinking of? Is that
I'd have to
possibly?
but I want to say it.
Possibly. Anyways, I'm just trying to recall just some old WrestleMania moments here. But anyways, then next week we'll talk about Backlash, and we'll have a couple of other theme songs, and of course wrestling theme songs, some cartoon theme songs, and like I said before, the Professor Deep Cut Dave called in. We're going to be doing some things on websites here pretty soon. We haven't talked about it. I got my producer that has to get in touch with you, but we'll be working on all that. But going to be having some polling, some interactive stuff where we can be interacting with you, the audience. You guys kind of help us just do things here on the show. But like I said, that'll be, www.samnewsman.com in the future. We got more coming on that. You can go there now, see some old articles that I've posted, some old shows. But we will be revamping that here soon. So just kind of be on the lookout for that. And like I said, the Professor, Deep Cut Dave, will be helping us. And so, Dave, listen, I want to thank you, of course, for calling into the show. And
and I'd like to give a special shout out.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
You know Joe Bob Briggs?
I do know Joe Bob. I think you mentioned something about Joe Bob Briggs the other day. Go ahead and mention that.
Well, tonight in Clayton, North Carolina, he's going to be doing his one-man show, How Rednecks Saved Hollywood, at the Clayton Center.
Now, are you going to that?
No. Well, I'm old, Sam. I tire easily now.
Listen, I hear that. Bruce Campbell just recently came here to Richmond, and it was a big deal. He played at the National, and there was a whole Bruce Campbell show. And
I caught him earlier caught him last week in Atlanta.
Oh, so you did go and see that?
Yeah.
Oh, well, some things I guess are priority, I guess, right? So.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, Dave, thank you so much again for calling in. We'll be in touch. Looking forward to hearing what you have to say next week, the songs that you're going to submit, and also your predictions for Backlash. That's all next week here on the first hour of the show. So, Professor, thank you so much for calling in. And, sir, you have a fantastic weekend.
Hey, you too, man.
Absolutely. So, once again, that is Deep Cut Dave. And Deep Cut Dave calling in with the hot fire. Hot fire. Yeah, like I said, Bugs Bunny, Star Wars, Droids, Starfleet, Road Avenger, Lupin the third, second season, Big John Studd. Those are all the songs that we played. And you say, well, Sam, how can I hear those songs? Well, it's very simple. What you need to do is you need to download the Live 365 app. You can go do that right now. Go to your app store, whether it's on Apple, whether it's also on, Google, wherever. Download the Live 365 app. And you say, well, Sam, why do I need to do that? I'm looking at your beautiful pink puppet face here on Instagram. Yes, you can look at my beautiful pink puppet face at Sam Newsman on Instagram, and over here at Sam Newsman on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. You can see my beautiful puppet face. But once again, this is a radio show. It's a radio show. No, not just a podcast. No, all that's coming in the future. No, but a real radio show, meaning that if you were driving around in your car and you turn on the radio, you'd be able to hear this show. You'd be hearing me talking. You say, well, Sam, you keep talking about Saturday morning on the radio. What happens there? Well, what happens here is that we're playing cartoon themes and songs that people remember when they were a kid. right? Saturday morning, a magical time where you would wake up in the morning, run down the stairs, grab a big sugary bowl of cereal, sit down in front of the TV, watch cartoons for 3 or 4 hours. You'd grab some toys, you'd play with those too. Imagination. Imagination. You would do it on Saturday morning. You say, well, Sam, what should I play? I should play some Gummy Bears. I'll tell you what, I'll cue that up hopefully for the next hour. Gummy Bears coming up in the next hour. We'll play a little bit of Gummy Bears. But how do you listen to the songs? Download the Live 365 app. Download the Live 365 app, and then you can listen to Saturday morning cartoon themes, because I can't play them here on Instagram and social media and everywhere else. If you download the Live 365 app, you can hear the songs that made your Saturday morning incredible. Pancakes. Pancakes. I read that. You know what I thought at first? Is before I saw pancakes, I thought peaches. Oh, that comes a little bit later in the show. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Anyways, here we are once again on the 22nd day of April here in the year 2023. It is 9:52 here on the East Coast. Download the Live 365 app so you can listen to the songs that I'm about to play here in a few moments. Download Live 365. Live 365 app. Search WDCE, and you can listen to the songs as I play them on the radio. At Sam Newsman on Instagram, at Sam Newsman on Facebook, at Sam Newsman on YouTube and Twitter. You can see me, and of course, we'll be back on the other side of this music break here for the only radio show dedicated to the magic and nostalgia of Saturday morning, hosted by me, a real puppet, from the most trusted puppet in media. Reporting since Roswell, I'm Sam Newsman, and this is Saturday morning.